Hello, everyone. This is Debra Richardson, and today I am putting the AP in Happy, where accounts payable teams are empowered to protect the vendor master file from fraud. This podcast will give a voice to accounts payable team members by talking about the growing reality of cyber attacks in their world and which vendor setup and vendor management techniques they can apply to protect the vendor master file from fraud. Need training? Visit the Vendor Process Training Center to enroll in your choice of weekly live and on-demand training sessions. Plus, get access to vendor setup form templates and reference tools that will help you and your team avoid fraud, fines, and bad vendor data. So sign up for a free account to get access to free training sessions, vendor process FAQs, and a resource library with information you need to manage your vendor master file. Visit training.debrarrichardson.com today. The link will be in the show notes. If you are in this age group or not and looking for a job, keep listening. Welcome to episode 357. The riskiest scams for this age group is fake jobs. How the BBB recommends you avoid them. All right, so to start off with, first off, the BBB is the Better Business Bureau. And if you haven't heard of them or haven't visited their site in a long time, you know what? This is not your parents', or maybe I should say your grandparents' Better Business Bureau. It's not only where you go to, find a reputable plumber. The BBB has a lot of resources and content and reporting around fraud. And if you haven't listened to them yet, I actually had Troy Baker, who was, I think his title was VP of Partnerships or something. Anyway, he goes around and talks to different organizations, to schools, maybe even businesses, or also businesses too. And so if you want to learn more about the Better Business Bureau, what they're doing today in the realm of fraud, check out episodes 339 and 340. And again, I had Troy Baker come on and talk about all of the resources that are available around fraud. And by the way, they are all free. Even if you have them come in and speak to your organization or to a school, it's all free. So make sure you check out those two podcasts. So today we're going to talk about the fraud surrounding fake jobs. And according to the BBB's most recent report on fraud, and yes, they do an annual report, in 2023, the riskiest scam for the age group of 18 to 44 was fake jobs in 2023. And I am sure that has not reduced in 2024, probably not even in 2025, because this age group is the age group that is most active in looking for jobs. And so, yes, that is the number one scam for that age group. So we're going to talk about what the Better Business Bureau, or BBB, I'll call them that from now on, has been or has had reported to them, and how those job scams work, how to identify if you're being targeted by one. And then we'll also talk about their recommendations to avoid job scams. I'll also include in there some new scam alerts from other resources about fake jobs and how those scams work. All right, so let's get started. So, first of all, this information is coming from that email that I talked about, the one that comes every Friday. I'll put a link in the show notes to so that you can click through if you would like to sign up for it. But every week it's like a different subject. So, again, this week was on the how to spot fake job offers from fake HR reps. And so, the content that they're getting is actually coming from people like you, like us, that are reporting these fake job scams to their scam tracker, the BBB scam tracker. And what this scam tracker is victims can enter into this database, right? The scam that they have been a victim of, or the attempted scam, and then the Better Business Bureau, BBB, will review it, and then if it's valid they will post it. And so that is actually a very good resource that anyone can use to see if what they received via email or text message is a little suspicious. You can go in to the Better Business Bureau or BBB scam tracker, put in search by name, search by email subject line. They have actually quite a few fields you can search by. And once you enter that data and click on search, you'll get results or not. But if other folks have reported that as a scam, you will get those results. And I actually really like it because they will give you a lot of details. The email subject line, the company name, even maybe even the amounts, right, that they were trying to get from that victim or potential victim. So it's a lot of great information. I'm going to put a link to that in the show notes as well, but I'm also going to put a link to a recent video that I posted on my YouTube site about the BBB scam tracker and how to use it. So it's a bit of a demo if you'd like to check that out. All right, so let's talk about how the fake job scams work according to the BBB and what has been reported to them. So, first off, these scams promise enticing remote work options, and we all want that. High salaries, check that off the list too, because we all want that. And so these jobs are really enticing, and the scam often begins innocently. So, after applying for a job on a reputable site or seeing a post on social media, you might receive a text or email from someone claiming to be a recruiter or HR representative from a well known company. Now, let me just stop right there and sprinkle in some scams that I've seen, even before you get in touch or someone gets in touch with you, because the fraudsters know that. These companies still have these HR portals or employment portals or candidate portals for you to go in and fill out all your information, then upload your resume. And so what they're doing is I posted a new scam alert, I think it was last year or the year before last, where the fraudsters were creating their own employment or candidate databases because they know that you're going to give some great information. You're going to give who your boss was, right? Or is at that particular company, what their title is, what their telephone number is, what their email address is. So it's great information that they're getting. So, that next portal that you may put your information in because you want that job that was posted, you might want to make sure that it is a valid portal. And so do your due diligence on that. Okay, so to continue with what the BBB says happens in these scams is that, right, you get a text or email from someone claiming to be a recruiter or HR rep from a well known company. And since you've already shared your contact information during the application process, that initial contact probably will not seem unusual to you. But they did give two names that others have reported as these HR reps having, like Linda Jackson or Megan Collins, and they use those names to appear more personable and trustworthy. So, if you have an HR rep reaching out to you on one of those two names, that is definitely a red flag. Now, the next red flags typically appear to be when the recruiter invites you to an interview, but instead of a standard phone call or a video call, you're asked to download a messaging app like Signal or WhatsApp to conduct the entire interview via text message. Now, one job seeker reported their experience, noting that after a brief text interview, they were immediately offered the job and asked for personal information, which that did make them feel like the situation was a scam. So, scammers will often offer the position on the spot with great pay and benefits, sometimes followed by a convincing but fake offer letter or contract. Now, I'm going to sprinkle in another way or part of the scam that I have seen probably about 3 years ago reported where they the candidate did have um, multiple interviews, and as a matter of fact, these interviews were all video interviews, and so they offered the position to the candidate, who, by the way, was still working at their job. And that was the whole point for the scammers, because what they did next is they told the candidate, hey, we're going to offer you a great salary. They didn't tell them what it was, but said that they were going to send a letter not to their personal email, but to the email that their company email for the company that they still currently work for. Now, the whole point of that, if you might have guessed it already, is that when the candidate received that email, who, by the way, was very motivated to open that email urgently because they wanted to see what their salary was. And so when they did that, of course, and you probably guessed it already, they that document that they thought was an offer letter was actually malware, and so they pumped up this candidate, got them all excited, just so that when that malware arrived in the email of the current company that they work for, it would be opened. So they're doing that as well. And going back to the BBB's account of what they've seen is right. They offer the position on the spot with great pay and benefits. And then once the person or you've accepted the job, the scammers will then move in to steal your personal information on money. So they may ask you to fill out forms with your name, address, date of birth, banking details, right? Claiming it's for direct deposit of your payroll, which, by the way, is something that legitimate companies do. So hopefully by this time, there would have been other red flags that would have, clued you in that this was a scam, so that you're not giving them your sensitive information. Now, another common tactic that the Better Business Bureau or BBB says that the scammers will use is they will have or use what they call an overpayment scam. So the phony employer will send you a check, often for a large amount, and they actually give an amount in this example. So it's a large amount, and it's not a static amount. It's $4,982.47, right? To purchase home office equipment. Now, how they know how much that home office equipment is, what the tax is going to be, I don't know. Maybe they tell you to purchase it from a specific, right, fake site. I don't know, but they don't say here. But they give you that check to purchase home office equipment. So the point is that you will deposit that check, and then they come back and say, right, they overpaid you, and then they instruct you to deposit the check and then send back the excess funds. Uh, and by the time you realize the initial check was fake and has bounced, the money you sent back is long gone. And now that I'm thinking about it, that specific is amount is not because they told you to, identify a specific or purchase specific equipment from this specific place, and that's how they knew how much it was. It's because it could be because they give you a percentage or, a certain allotment for your equipment, home office equipment. Although any remote job that I've worked for, they've always sent me the equipment. They don't have me buy it myself, but I've always worked for larger companies. I'm not sure how some smaller companies may work. Maybe this is how they do it. Anyway, this is that classic overpayment scam, which, was floating all over Facebook and any other platforms where, you're trying to sell your stuff and fraudsters are on there trying to give you more money for it than you're selling it for, and then asking for the difference. Now, what they do say is a legitimate company will only pay you after you have completed work for them and not ask you to return funds. And so that does make a lot of sense, because when you're getting reimbursed for, or if you have to buy equipment, the standard protocol is to expense it and then submit your receipts, and then you'll be reimbursed for it. They don't normally give you money in advance and then, tell you they overpaid you and then ask you for those funds back. All right, so that was what the Better Business Bureau, or BBB, has defined or has had reported to them as scams and how those scams work. I will tell you that I've seen new scam alerts that talks about the jobs on LinkedIn, and I know a lot of folks, probably even you too, have as well, have gotten legitimate jobs, found legitimate jobs, and actually got hired for some of those jobs off of LinkedIn. But today, there have been new scam alerts out there where fraudsters are posting fake jobs. That's how they get you to click through to those fake, candidate portals where you put all your information in. And nobody likes filling those out, by the way. I know you don't, I don't, even for legitimate companies. But that's how they get you there, is they post those fake jobs. And so let's talk about how the BBB recommends that you protect yourself from these scammers, from these fraudulent schemes. So the first thing is they say to thoroughly research the company and the individual contacting you. So a quick online search can often reveal if the person actually works for the company they claim to represent. They also say to visit the company's official website to verify the job posting and their hiring processes. Now, what I will say is make sure that you type in their website if you know it, right? If it's a legitimate company, Amazon.com, Facebook, right? You know their actual URL and what it should be. And I say that because a lot of the fraudsters know SEO better than most. They know, or they will also use ads to get those fraudulent sites that they have set up for this fraud. And so you need to make sure that, if you are doing a search because you don't know the URL, that you're not just clicking the first one, on the page because it's the first one. You're just verifying whether or not it is a valid one. You might want to go down the page a bit, see if you see something that's not a sponsored ad, for example, that is not giving off red flags. So make sure you do that if you search for that company versus typing in what you know to be the correct web address. All right. The next one is that they say is to guard your personal and financial information. So never provide sensitive data to someone you don't fully trust, and be wary of any pressure to provide information quickly for a now or never offer. I think that's always great advice. I will tell you though that I have been pressured for a now or never. Like if you get off the phone, the offer is not valid anymore, and those have been for what I thought were legitimate offers. But, that's one of the tactics that some companies use so that, they won't lose the sale. They really need to stop doing that because now they sound like scammers. Anyway, the next one that the BBB has to avoid fraudulent schemes and scammers is to be suspicious of unconventional hiring processes. So, if a company wants to hire you without a formal phone or video interview, it is likely a scam. One job seeker recognized red flags when the quote unquote employer would not agree to a video chat. The next one is to watch out for jobs that seem too good to be true. So, a position offering excellent pay and benefits with no formal interview process is a major warning sign. Now, what the BBB says is that if you encounter a suspicious job offer, they want you to report it to the BBB scam tracker. Why? Because now it'll be in there in case someone else receives the same thing and searches for it. So this helps to protect others from falling victim to similar tactics. And so that I think is great advice. And again, I am going to put a link to a video where I demo the BBB scam tracker. So make sure you go to the show notes and click through to the video link. So, whether you are in the age group of 18 to 44 or not, I hope this gave you some valuable content so that if you do come across a, fake job or a fraud scheme or a scammer while you are looking for a job, you'll be able to recognize it or at least know where to go to see if it could be a scam. And if it is, and it's not listed in that resource, and that is the BBB scam tracker, that you add it so that others that are asking the same thing, right, that may be in the same fraud can see that it is. Also, in the show notes will be a link to the BBB's scam headquarters. I think they call it scam headquarters. It could be fraud headquarters, but it is where you see all of the information that they have on fraud. They have a scam page. You can click through to the report that I got or that they got this information from. You can also just see all of the different types of scams that have been reported with explanations of how they work. So, very good information. Oh, and I'm forgetting the most important part. There's also a link where you can sign up for their Friday BBB scam alert emails. All right. So thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the 356th episode of the Putting the AP in Happy podcast, where accounts payable teams are empowered to protect the vendor master file from fraud. Don't forget to check the show notes for the links mentioned in the podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing and writing a review of my podcast on the platform that you use to listen. Stay happy.